2 years later, in 2019, she said that she's masturbating to Keemstar. This is a public tweet.
What's wrong with that picture of you on the train tracks?
Well, by the way, that's not me on the train tracks, by the way.
Well, are you sure?
Me.
It looks like
Hey, you heard it here first. Confirmed.
It looks a lot
like you. Yeah, it's not me. Like,
It looks
do you really
exactly
think
like
it's me?
No, of course.
Do you really think it's me?
No, I mean, I imagine you got paid for the
but
gig.
you're the one with the car, right?
Neither
You're the one out in the
them.
forest.
And welcome back to the Half Baked Podcast. I'm your host, Turkey Tom. With me, I have Nick Diorio, Lord Vega, and our special guest, Keemstar. Keem, how's it going? I guess we'll get right into it, Nick, if you want to introduce our first kind of thing that's going on.
Yeah, dude, the Gamergate's starting. All the journalists are actively targeting YouTubers. Recently, we've had some new articles on Mr. Beast. And yesterday, Phil DeFranco kind of called the whole thing out, said some crazy stuff, and then all of a sudden, all the tweets disappeared. Phil's disappeared, Taylor Lorenz, Catherine Tembarge, a bunch of these other high-profile journalists, all their tweets are gone now. And Phil actually, I don't know if you know this, changed the title of his video, which previously called the Mr. Beast article a hit piece. And now it's a much more neutral take.
So what the fuck happened?
Mr. Beast...
Didn't he have a take that was like normal? What the fuck you mean he said some crazy shit?
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, crazy shit in terms of like Phil DeFranco. He doesn't usually go nuclear like that and just kind of like shit on people.
Like
yeah, he
right?
almost never does that. It's always like...
Yeah, it was very confrontational.
I'd say he almost panders most of the time. So it's kind of like confusing that this is what happened.
Yeah, it seemed like a real tweet.
Dude, how many times in the
Yeah.
last 3 years do you remember a situation where you could just jump in and defend Phil DeFranco? I mean, like...
Literally
Yeah,
never.
true,
I mean, what the
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
happened?
I got a point.
Did he get messaged some information we don't know
So,
about?
yeah, there was an article that was put out that was basically like 11 people came forward and said some stuff about Mr. Beast. They're not even named or anything like that.
Right.
But most of this was kind of drudged up from 2 years ago. And it's just more shit that we already knew about.
we already knew all this was going to happen. We've known this was going to happen for like a couple months. I mean, this is what really is going on in the YouTube space. You have an evil squad of people all working together, and that would be the Deaf Noodles, Ethan Klein, Trisha Paytas, and these reporters. You know, these reporters were able to do massive damage to James Charles and David Dobrik. And look, some of this information is 100% valid, and, you know, they definitely deserved accountability. But the reporters were able to actually, you know, have so much power and were so effective because Ethan Klein gave them a mob, you know, an angry mob to back up the stories that were coming out. Recently, they tried this with Jake Paul. They failed miserably. And Kat, who is from Insider, she was on a podcast, and they asked her why she was so successful with the David Dobrik article and why it went so viral. And she responded something along the lines of, hey, you know, I wrote stories on Jeffree Star. It didn't really go anywhere because people already think he's a bad guy, so they don't really care. She goes, when I wrote the article on David Dobrik, he was seen as a good guy. And so, you know, if you can show that a good guy, is bad, then you get a lot of clicks. You get a lot of views.
Wait, why the fuck did they do this to him though? Like, did they just run out of pedophiles and rape, and they were like, "No, we gotta dig up something old"?
You gotta like learn about the players here. Taylor Lorenz has been going after Mr. Beast for over 2 years. In fact, at one point in her new article, she's talking about critics of Mr. Beast, and she cites herself as the source. Like, it goes back to her old article she wrote
This
for the
was
fucking
so like
Atlantic.
nothing though. Like, I watched the Omni video, and even he's someone who's very middle of the road. He watched it, and he was like what he like called him a retard. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, what the huge deal is. Like,
I got something even better to support this whole, like, you know, team working together. All right. So Taylor Lorenz was obviously going to go after Mr. Beast. Everybody knew it, right? But with the first time she went after Mr. Beast, when she worked for The Atlantic, which was in 2018, H3H3 actually called Taylor out and said, hey, you know, stop going after Mr. Beast. I mean, I don't know exactly what the tweets are. There's like two different tweets where H3H3, Ethan Klein, is supporting Mr. Beast in 2018. Now, those tweets still existed until a month ago. They just magically disappeared. Now, why would Ethan go back to tweets from 2018, a month ago, and delete them supporting Mr. Beast? Because he is in a group chat with Taylor and Kat and Def Noodles, and they knew that this was coming, and this is part of the strategy. Let's take down Mr. Beast. Also, there has been, if you noticed, like, you know, Def Noodles, if you go back through his timeline, over like the last month, you know, every other day, he's like putting out a story. Mr. Beast, you know, 2 years ago said a bad word, or Mr. Beast did this, or like, dude, he's just been spamming this stuff, kind of prepping the community before these articles even came out. So this is a coordinated effort. And, you know, I'll let someone talk for a bit while I look for this comment that was left on a Drama Alert video by Roberto Blake, who's actually, Roberto Blake is a very respected YouTuber. He's not huge or anything, but like been a part of the community for like a decade. I found the comment right here. He left this on Drama Alert, I want to say 4 or 5, maybe a week ago. You guys got to remember, Chris from the Mr. Beast, you know, team or whatever, Chris got exposed for things he said in the past. And then it was Carl. They went after Carl for being on Ice Poseidon's stream. Like, this really was a coordinated effort. But here's what Roberto Blake said on a Drama Alert video. This is the comment he left. He said, "Right now, I am convinced that there is an active, coordinated effort to cancel Mr. Beast and the Mr. Beast crew. Recently, Chris came under fire for old tweets. Carl now for past streams and old content. You will see next they will try to either go to past employees of Mr. Beast and go after his involvement with NFTs and cryptos, accusing him of scamming people."
Oh,
like,
so he
dude,
called it.
This guy,
holy fuck,
this guy is not a drama YouTuber. He is not watching everyone like a hawk like me. He's just coming to this conclusion, and he was dead right. This was a week ago when he left this comment. So, you know, this is what is going on.
See, when you talk about these journalists, one word usually pops up, recently at least, is Clubhouse. I'm not sure if you guys know, like, the drama with Taylor Lorenz, but Keem, do you remember the story from February with Kat Tenbarge, where she published a whole article about how Mr. Beast booted out a user who he couldn't pronounce the name of him?
I didn't know she wrote the article, but I was very...
Yeah, she's the one over sparking a debate over racism,
I was
dude.
very much involved in that situation. If you want to give a little background, and then I can add information that maybe you don't know.
Yeah, basically it was a situation where somebody jumped in the room, and then, well, actually, I don't know how that ended. Someone jumped in the room, and then he couldn't say the name, and then they ended up kicking him out.
Okay, let me explain this.
But
all right, Clubhouse is kind of like Twitter Spaces. Not all the viewers listening to this right now, not a lot of you are on Clubhouse. You know, very few people are on Clubhouse because you have to be invited by someone. But everybody that's anybody had access to it because they started promoting the app to, like, you know, the popular people or, you know, CEOs of companies and stuff. I mean, there were really cool people over there, and it was kind of a small community. Well, there has been this effort to ban Taylor Lorenz and other reporters because they keep like spying on everyone over there and, you know, doing tattle journalism. But anyhow, to get to the point.
Oh, I have the one tweet recently, the one that was done, I believe someone named Ben put it up. Taylor Lorenz put out a tweet saying, some user openly just used the R slur on Clubhouse tonight, and not one other person in the room called him or said anything. Do you remember what happened in that story?
Yeah, the CEO, the billionaire that she said the R word. He didn't actually say it. It was someone else. And instead of apologizing, she said, like, basically, like, oh, it's unclear who said it. And then, what's his name? Glenn Greenwald or Glenn, like, there is this famous actual real journalist that, like,
I know who you're talking about. He's a conservative, right? I think I know.
He's not he's nothing. He's just a journalist. He came out with the WikiLeaks story. I mean, this guy fled the country to report news. He fled America to accurately report stories. Right. I mean, this guy's a real journalist. He called her out. He made this big article on Taylor calling her, you know, this is tattletale reporting and like calling out all these reporters. But listen, if we could get back to the Mr. Beast thing, Clubhouse is popping. You know, it's starting to pick up some steam. And me and Mr. Beast, we start hosting these rooms to help other YouTubers. So, you know, we're in a room, people raise their hand, we bring them up on stage, and people ask a question about YouTube, and me and Mr. Beast were answering these. And they were going viral. People loved it. The fact that they could reach out to and talk to big YouTubers and get advice like that. Mr. Beast went and did one of these rooms one night. I wasn't there in the first call. And, you know, when you're inviting people up on stage, you know, you're just trying to get through as many people as possible. Mr. Beast said to this one individual, he goes, I can't read your name, but I'm going to yeet you too, like kicking him back down to the audience. Well, the guy that he yeeted, Farouk, or I can't even pronounce his name. The guy that he kicked out has been one of these people that's been grinding Clubhouse since day one. Like, he's like, people know who he is over there, right? He holds rooms with like thousands of people, and he's friends with people. And it's a lot of this social justice stuff, you know, this woke type of stuff that Farouk is involved in. And he basically started putting out some tweets saying that Mr. Beast is racist and kicked him out because he's racist,
What
right?
the fuck?
Damn, careful. You couldn't pronounce his name. She's going to write an article about you.
Yeah.
Nick.
So you're racist.
This is like saying that about Tommy C when he throws out 15 people in a row and calls them assholes on his stream. Like, that's insane.
So listen, YouTube and all these prominent people were defending Mr. Beast, and, you know, like, you know, all these, I ran a room talking about the situation, defending Mr. Beast. It got huge. It was this giant controversy. Reporters, apparently Kat wrote that article and all that. It was all nonsense. Farouk, it was just a complete joke, crying wolf of something that didn't happen. The result of that incident meant that we stopped going to
Clubhouse.
To Clubhouse. Mr. Beast hasn't been there since, and people were really upset about that. And they're like, and I would try to explain to him, I go, why would Mr. Beast come back to Clubhouse? Farouk was sending multiple fans of his to go and sabotage Mr. Beast and sabotage other YouTubers to get up in a lineup and then like ask like, why are you racist and all this other stuff.
Corny
So
as
Mr.
fuck.
Beast hasn't been there since. Now here's the thing: new people that have signed up to Clubhouse has dropped drastically. Clubhouse is in trouble, but it all correlates with all of us YouTubers stopping using Clubhouse because of people like Taylor Lorenz, these reporters doing the tattletale journalism,
Yep.
and you know these other wokeness people that are, you know, doing
I'm
what they're
still
doing.
stuck on that shit you were saying about being in a general chat and somebody brings up, let's take down Mr. Beast. Bitch, I would have been laughing like, for what? Because why?
Dude,
Because he told us,
for some
from what I
like-
remember, the only drama that he had, I guess, is the shit they're bringing up, right? It sounded like at the end of the day, he was telling you need to fucking work, dude. You know
There's
what I
another
mean?
thing they're probably going to go after him for soon. A while back,
Telling
like in
somebody to work?
2016. No, back in 2016, there was like, you remember how like the whole like trans jokes was a big thing? Like probably 2015, 16. He had some video, I think, where he was like it was obviously a joke. He just made some like dumb comments, and they're probably going to come after him for that next. They're going to be like, Mr.
That
Beast,
shit is so corny.
secret
How is that not
transphobe.
done already, dog? Like, people are like looking back.
Dude, they
what
take
did you
somebody-
say in this year? Bitch, I don't even
I mean,
fucking
it's
remember.
really
what the
stupid.
fuck you talking about, man?
It's basically just like they don't have anything else. I mean, I don't want to pretend to know Mr. Beast. I don't even watch his videos that much, but like by all accounts, from what I've seen, like I feel like if there was something really awful about him behind the scenes, considering his level of stardom and like the culture of YouTube today, it probably would have come out, right? So like my first impression is to say that I don't think this is anything. I think this is nothing burger. I think they're pushing this for clicks. They're pushing this because it does well.
I would say, in fairness, it is coming out now, but what's coming out now is dumb.
There's nothing.
It's stupid,
nothing,
dog.
yeah.
Because they're trying to get like the ultra positive figure. David Dobrik's a positive figure. Everyone liked him before all that drama and stuff like
Kat
that.
says it. You need to listen to this podcast that Kat was on. She literally explains it in detail. And listen, here's another thing. I know Mr. Beast on like a real like Jimmy Donaldson. I don't even know if that's his last name, but I think it's that. I know him on a real person basis. I'm friends with the guy. I talk to the guy privately like once a week, probably. He is a genuine, actual, nice person, good person.
Right.
All right. He is not getting canceled by any reporters. He's not getting canceled by Def Noodles. He's not getting canceled by H3H3. These people have absolutely no power. You can't cancel them. But you know who is canceled? All of them for trying. They're insane to think that they have that much power. Insane.
I mean, here's the thing, right? You say they don't have power, but they do clearly have some. I mean, wasn't David Dobrik, he lost his monetization and some sponsorships, right?
Yeah, but David Dobrik fucked up. That's the point. Like, they can't just cancel Mr. Beast out of thin air because he said like the word retard.
No, I agree, but
or something like that.
this story was circulated by them largely, right? It was like Ethan and then like the journalists.
But well,
Def Noodles.
Ethan and Trisha for a couple weeks weeks were running nonstop David Dobrik's the bad guy because of the kissing prank with Seth. They prepped an audience, they created a hate mob, and they created a perfect climate for, you know, that story with Dom and the alcohol and the girls being sexually assaulted, for that story to have the legs that it did. You know, if you don't prep people and create a hate mob, I don't know if that story gets as much as attention as it deserves. I mean, let's be honest. The cat story is good. The cat article is good. You know, on all accounts, it seems like a very accurate story of what took place. You got to give credit where credit is. You know, I think Cat broke a major story that deserves some attention and deserves some accountability. But the reason why it went as far as it did is because of the hate mob that was created. Now, we might agree with that story being good and accurate and, you know, a story that definitely needed to be told, but I don't think anybody in this call agrees with going after David Dobrik's sponsors, going after James Charles sponsors. I mean, even if these people are guilty and should be held accountable, going after sponsors affects the entire livelihood of every creator.
Exactly. But it's kind of crazy how big the audience is for this kind of stuff. About a month ago, I made a tweet and I was talking about Ethan. I was like, you know, his audience was dying or something because I hadn't looked at his analytics. I hadn't looked at his channel since Nick and I made our video about him. And I look at it now, people were like, no, I think you're kind of wrong. And I looked at it and they were absolutely right. He is fucking exploding right now. The H3 podcast.
Yeah, Trisha Paytas has driven a huge amount of people there by like taking her normal drama shit and just doing it on his channel. It's blowing him up.
They kind of stole the concept of Bait It, right? Me and Klein would debate different issues. You know, we created a podcast where we didn't agree with each other, where we argued about everything. And so I think Ethan saw how that worked and he was like, okay, Trisha Paytas will be perfect. You know?
And then we stole it.
So that's kind of how it started, is those two would argue and debate and fight. I mean, how many times did Trisha like leave the set and say, I quit? And like, that's where...
Yeah, I saw clips of that.
That's where it started being good and the show was very successful. But then Trisha and Ethan became closer and closer and good friends. And then it became more like, okay, well, let's just start canceling all of our enemies. Now, you know, James Charles might be guilty, but let's be honest, right? James Charles and Ethan Klein had extreme beef because James Charles created a hoodie with the same colors as
you guys really think that that's where that comes from, the hoodie?
Yes.
You think so?
I do.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Dude, he was going after him. He was going fucking bonkers on his podcast and on Twitter about that shit. And then every time anything bad about James came out, he was like, oh, look, I mean, what did I tell you guys?
Vega, let me ask you a question. Do you think H3H3, Ethan Klein, cares about sexual, harassment or assault victims? Do you think he actually cares about them?
I think he's lost his fucking mind. That's what I think.
Because I've been sexually harassed by Trisha Paytas and he's never once defended me. I mean, that's
Is that true? What actually happened with
that?
What happened?
Everyone says that. Everyone laughs immediately, but there's like 15 tweets of Trisha saying like, I want to jerk Keemstar off and all that shit.
Is this recent? Wait,
she said she wanted to eat
Keemstar. You think you got sexually harassed like on the real?
Yeah, I asked her to stop multiple times.
Okay, all right.
Well, hold on. Do you think if some fucking guy influencer was doing that to, I don't know, like someone Trisha likes, do you think Ethan would cover it, being like, look at this creepy guy sending these creepy messages?
You're right. I agree with you there. But I'm saying, my question would be, what happened after that then, when you popped that up? I did see the tweet. I just don't remember what happened.
It's not a tweet. It's like 25 tweets.
Okay.
Did Ethan say anything about it?
No.
Oh, of course not. No, definitely wasn't talking about it. Yeah, it's not news.
And listen, people have been spamming. Listen, people have been spamming Taylor Lorenz and Kat to cover this story.
And she ain't saying shit.
She said she tweeted out something along the lines of, I find it ridiculous that people think that they can decide what I cover or not. And she goes,
oh, no, she didn't.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Dude, this shit's so weird. You know that editor? You know the Mr. Beast editor? Like the biggest one or whatever, out of all the a big, like, alleged Mr. Beast abuse victims or whatever, quote unquote.
Right.
It's like that one kid who got called the R slur or whatever. Yeah, he posted a new video recently talking about how Trisha Paytas saw this frenemies blanket and she's gonna buy it and stuff like that. Dude, it's all interconnected, dude. It's like
These people have a
these
group chat.
articles are
There's a
made,
group
and
chat.
like it cites this kid who cites Ethan Klein, who takes you back to the podcast, who's promoting Taylor Lorenz.
Exactly. To the audience, I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? But look, you guys are the audience. You're clicking on a video here and there. You're not like living on Twitter 24/7 and looking at the community 24/7 like I am. Like, I live and breathe this stuff, and I am telling you, this is I've been telling everybody. I'm trying to warn them. Ethan Klein is working with these reporters and Deaf Noodles. They're all working together to cancel YouTubers. Now, I want to read some of the tweets from Trisha Paytas, right? And again, Trisha Paytas, Ethan Klein, these reporters and Deaf Noodles, all of them have stated that they really, really care about sexual assault victims, and they also believe all victims. I didn't believe the Jake Paul allegations, and they attacked me for it. They attacked my kid. They said I'm a horrible person for not believing the Jake Paul allegations. So here are some allegations that aren't up for debate. This is proven.
These are the Trisha Paytas ones?
Yeah, it's not up for debate. This is proven.
Can you read them off? I want to hear what.
Yes, in 2017, Trisha Paytas tweeted at me that I'll never stop hitting on Keemstar. And this is, by the way, this is not all the tweets.
Yeesh.
This is not. This is just some of them.
Right.
2 years later, in 2019, she said that she's masturbating to Keemstar. This is a public tweet.
What's wrong with that picture of you on the train tracks? That one.
Well, that's. By the way, that's not me on the train tracks. By the way,
Well, are you sure? It looks like
Hey,
you.
you heard it here first. Confirmed.
It looks a lot
it
like
looks
you.
like you. Yeah, it's not me. Like,
It
do
looks
you really
exactly
think it's
like
me?
No, of course.
Do you really think it's me?
No, I mean, I
No,
imagine you got paid for the
no.
gig.
But you're the
Of course
one.
not,
You're the
no.
one with the car, right?
Neither
Are you
one
the one
of
out in
them.
the forest? Dude, why are there so many? Is there like a guy
Yeah,
who
there's-
looks
there
like
has
you
to
who's
be a
just
guy.
like
It's the same
posing
guy.
in
No,
gay
here's
porn?
the thing. Here's the thing in both of those scenarios, right? If you have a hat on and you have a beard, you look like Keemstar. You just do. Like, that's
From
all
far
you
away,
need.
yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, keep
so
going,
she
keep going, keep
also
going.
she also says in 2000, I believe this is 2019. She says, "Hey Keemstar, can we collab for OnlyFans? And I'll eat your ass out. You don't even have to
Jesus
shower.
fucking Christ.
I did
You don't
not
even have to
see that
shower."
one.
Wait, dude, what about this one? I want to gag on 12 cocks right now. Like, I want to cry from getting throat fucked so hard right now at Keemstar.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
That's last year. That's literally not even a year old.
She says, "I like it. Total butt ass dirt shit." She says, "I go to bed, falling asleep, fantasizing about Keemstar and choking on his fat chode." She says, "So Keemstar mentioned me on Drama Alert today. Does that mean he will fill my asshole with spunk?"
Holy shit. These are fucking graphic. Imagine if Mr.
yeah.
Beast said this. Imagine
And
if
I
Mr.
just
Beast
She made
said this.
allegations that Keemstar got her pregnant.
I have tweeted multiple times, like, okay, here's July 2nd, 2020. All right, I tweet out
That's so funny.
my truth. On July 2nd, 2020,
That's
I
my
was sexually harassed.
Okay.
I was sexually harassed by Trisha Paytas. I'm scared for my life by this sexual verbal assault. I mean, this has
Yeah.
been going on forever. I've had, like, people like joke around, other YouTubers joke around with me and be like, "Hey, you should hook up with Trisha." And I'm like, no. Absolutely, I don't get it. I don't know why anyone think that she's sexually attractive. I don't know why anyone thinks it's like cool that she's like saying this stuff to me. I mean, if we're gonna believe all victims, the T channels, the reporters, I want to let people know that Kat has said to the world that she is the influencer watchdog. She knows about this, she's talked about it, and she's ignored it. This is not about fair and balanced journalism. This is not about, victims of sexual assault, sexual harassment. This is not about being a watchdog for influencers. These people are picking and choosing who they go after. They have been platformed by Ethan Klein and they've been platformed by Trisha. They've been given a mob to go unleash on any influencer they want. This is a huge problem, and there is an absolute threat to the entire community as we know it.
Yeah.
You think the climate out there is that anybody like believes them? Like you think they do have a monster, or am I just not caught up? Do they do have a monster fucking following where they're like,
oh, they do.
Yeah, these people.
For sure.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this though. Ethan Klein and Trisha, they recently said that I deserve to have my kid taken away from me, and they said
We
that
covered that. Yeah, we covered that. We covered that on a live stream, and that was bullshit. Everybody knows bullshit.
They brought up the etiquette thing again. You know how much hate I got? Barely any. So, I don't know how much power they have because, I'm not getting hate from the nonstop attacks from them like I did back in May of 2020 when Ethan made the 3 content nukes on me.
Right. I mean, it is kind of like, I don't know what I would call it, but like there is like a certain like fakeness to it, right? Because if I had to guess, like I'd say probably less people read Insider than people watch Nicholas DiOrio. Like I don't think that they're getting a ton of clicks, right?
That's probably true, to be honest.
No, I mean,
Jesus Christ.
but at the same time, like these stories are circulated, right? Like they're official, they're in the industry. These stories are posted everywhere, especially to the mainstream. Like imagine how bad this makes YouTubers as a whole look if every story they get from an official source is X-YouTuber rapist, X-YouTuber pedophile, X-YouTuber was terrible to their employee, right? Like imagine how poorly that reflects on the industry. And the other issue is that like when we call out an issue in the community, we don't, it's not a monetary thing, right? It is like a community
we get like
thing.
500 to a million views on a video calling out something being like 100% right. Dog, nothing happens. These people put out like 2 articles that get seen by 2,000 people.
But you know why?
And then fucking YouTube takes action on it because YouTube is a bunch of fucking pussies.
No,
it's insane.
The problem is they go directly to the sponsor. Remember Matt Watson? He did the same exact thing during the whole pedo
Kat
thing.
was doing that shit. She's like, so and so did not answer. This sponsor did not answer. This sponsor did not answer.
Exactly. This is what they do. They email. They CC literally like 100 sponsors. Like anyone involved with YouTube in any way. Oh, fucking Manscaped has backed out of David Dobrik, and it only makes the story get bigger because then other sponsors are like, oh, we better.
And then
fall
dumb
in line.
fucks like Deaf Noodles are just doing like daily updates on the sponsor drops.
Right, and at the end of the day, I can't even blame YouTube because the issue for them is that the sponsors walk away without YouTube even getting involved. The issue is the people with the money.
YouTube's done. YouTube's not going to be held hostage by these reporters. They're absolutely done with this nonsense.
I hope so.
They have to. They have to be looking at this and smarting it up.
That's not a good long-term strategy,
Yeah, they're not going to... Like James Charles, right? He didn't get banned from partnership forever. Same thing with David Dobrik. They're not banned from partnership forever. Like they're doing little stuff to try to minimize damage, but they're not going to cave in to reporters anymore. I don't think so. I mean, these people aren't really acting in good faith. I mean, they are literally trying to destroy YouTubers' livelihoods, right?
Do you think their motivation is more for views or more just like they fucking hate us and want us to go down? Like, what is it?
Jealousy?
They could be both.
Well, I think it's multiple things. If you can kind of police the entire YouTube space, right? You can't do it unless you have support from YouTubers. Like it just doesn't work. Like Kat was able to do this because she was platformed and had support from H3H3. Same thing with Taylor Lorenz. Like they need YouTuber support to go and click and read those articles. I mean, if they don't have that, if there's no mob, then why would a company drop someone unless they're getting spammed? They absolutely need support in order to get anywhere. But look, I mean, it's not journalism as much as it is activism, right? And so activism won't work.
Right.
All right, shifting gears a little bit. I know another big story in the community right now, which honestly not a lot of people were talking about, is the H3H3 Triller lawsuit. Just for those who don't know, there was a fight recently between Jake Paul and Ben Askren, and Ethan Klein decided he would admit publicly to pirating it, admit publicly that his employee was sending him multiple links, showcase on his stream that he re-uploaded the stolen fight that he recorded from a illegal stream, and now he might be facing some sort of, I guess, prison times on there. I doubt he'll get that, but at least some sort of fines and stuff like that.
The one thing I want to say about that is Ethan Klein was sued many years ago, and he won the lawsuit, and he was a champion for fair use. And he said multiple times that he wanted this to be a part of his legacy, that he did something good for the entire community.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, he pirated a pay-per-view fight and streamed it on his show. He got it's fucking hilarious. Your legacy is fucking down the drain, you stupid motherfucker.
Oh, man.
Yeah, definitely the moral of the story here is don't publicly admit to committing crimes and brag about it.
He bragged about it on multiple streams. What
so
the
many
fuck?
So many people got away with it, but he was like, "Hey, millions of followers. I pirated." I've been told that the max fine he'll get is like $150,000.
Yeah, but he's playing. He could just play that shit off and say it's a joke, right? He wasn't actually doing it, or was he doing it to the?
No, there's evidence that he downloaded it and re-uploaded it to YouTube.
Yeah,
I know there's some people that are spying on every move I make, so I know you're listening right now. I just want you to know, right? I've talked to people very close to the situation. Ethan, you're not getting a settlement. You are not getting a settlement. They are not settling with you. They're not going to settle with you for like 3 million, 2 million, 4 million, 5 million. You're going to get absolutely no breaks. They're going to take you to the goddamn finish line. There's going to be no shortcuts in this whatsoever for you.
Tom, what you don't understand is that the implication is it would be 150,000 per view.
Oh.
He streamed it to 1 million people, so if he was found guilty or loses the lawsuit, we're talking about $150 billion.
So let me ask you this, right?
Fuck.
If y'all can clarify for me, and the audience that's probably confused and might be hopping in on this, right? So did Ethan Klein say, "Hey, I pirated this shit," and then fucking yada yada, right? Or
no, he did say that.
He said it on 3 separate occasions, and then when his employee said, "I didn't do that," he went, "Yes, you did. You didn't do anything wrong."
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
and then when confronted about it, when he saw an article, he was like, "I'm getting sued, lol."
Okay, but
and then he lied, but then he admitted to Phil DeFranco that he actually pirated it. He actually sent it to Phil.
So when he found out he got sued, he did put out that tweet saying, "I didn't pirate it and I didn't rebroadcast it," which I don't know why he put that out, because that made the story so much better, because it was like, oh, this guy's a liar. On top of it, this guy is a liar. I mean, it was just a proven without a shadow of a doubt lie. And Philly D covered this story, and he actually asked Ethan for a statement, and Ethan said something along the lines of, "I didn't want to pay for it, and I didn't want to support a credibly accused rapist." Those were the words he used.
Yeah,
credibly
accused. That's a term.
Okay,
I don't know if he got that from a lawyer or what, but that's I feel like if he did get that from a lawyer, he went to a lawyer and he said, "How can I avoid defamation but make it really sound like Jake Paul was guilty?" Because that's
right.
Just to play a little devil's advocate, I recently watched a video by Nick Rekieta. He's a lawyer in the community. A lot of people respect him and stuff like that. He basically said that this is going to be a nothing burger. At least the part about you should tell the Triller that you pirated it. Did you see that part of the thing?
Yeah.
That, if you tell Triller you pirated it and you give them $50, that's gonna wipe this whole thing away. They can still sue you. If you go and admit that you pirated it and give them $50, that's just you admitting to a crime. If the FBI wanted to investigate you or something like that, you'd still be fucked. But I mean, I doubt they would do that.
But that's still the other part of what I'm asking is, did Ethan Klein go on stream or on video with the Jake Paul fight in a video form, not a still frame, and it was actually going, and we saw the fight with Ethan Klein streaming it to his channel? Did that happen?
Yes.
There you go. That's the part I wasn't clear on, because everybody was talking about he admitted it, but I'm like, if he didn't show it, but if he did,
it's
then
literally
there you go.
it's as bad as it could be. He
there you
admitted
go.
to it.
All right.
Multiple times. He
Vega,
put it on his channel and he lied about it after.
Vega, let me explain this a little bit more, just so you and maybe the audience members have a better understanding of what takes place, right? So Kat, or was it Kat, who released the Jake Paul story?
I believe that was Taylor.
Kat or Taylor Lorenz.
Yeah, they're interchangeable. They're both like salad. Just leave them alone.
One of them had one of them for months, had this story that there was an allegation against Jake Paul for sexual assault. And they waited on the story until the week of Jake Paul's fight, right? They waited until all eyes were going to be on Jake. And so when the article came out, Ethan, really went after Jake really hard. I don't know if he caused any defamation with Jake or not, but basically Ethan's believes the victim and does not believe Jake, and said that Jake's a horrible person. All this, he did maybe 1 or 2 streams on it, and this is going into the fight. Now, right after the fight, H3H3 pirates it, and then here's what people don't get: Jake Paul owns equity in Triller. Like, he owns equity in Triller.
Oh, so does he? Oh, wow.
So
man.
So let's try to like wrap our head around this. All right. Let's imagine that Jake is 100% innocent, because neither of us, no one knows, right? But let's pretend that Jake is 100% innocent, and let's try to put ourself in Jake Paul's head, right? As far as he's concerned, in his statement, he said he never even had sex with this girl, no sexual contact with this girl. In his mind, here he's got this guy, H3H3, trying to destroy his career, destroy his boxing career the week of the fight. If he has an opportunity to sue H3H3, do you think he's going after a $150,000 fine or something? Absolutely not. There is no settlement. Everyone says, oh, this is just going to get settled. Oh, it's going to get settled. There will be no settlement. Trust me. This is not about money.
I'll agree with you on that. I don't know Jake personally. I'm assuming you do. You talk to him. He doesn't even seem like the type of motherfucker that would drop it. He'd be like, "Oh, okay, you said all that shit.
Looks like he would.
All right, motherfucker, we got you." That's the. He doesn't seem like he do. He got the cash to do it too. So it's not like I ain't gonna believe him.
Jake said in his statement that he will go bankrupt suing all these people. He's suing the accuser. He's suing. I don't know. I don't know how much I can say about a public thing, but he's suing a lot of people.
Yeah, don't say it here if you can't say it.
Nick Rekieta said a few other things. He said that kind of the first part of it was kind of bogus. He also said that in the actual suit itself, it doesn't explain facts. He said you could amend it later, but the problem is they're not showing in the actual suit itself the screenshots and stuff like that, showing timestamps or whatever when Ethan would have downloaded it, or any of these other people they're suing. They're not showing the transactions and stuff like that. And he thinks a normal suit would have that initially. I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer. I'm trying to really paraphrase this. He thinks that Ethan Klein was only included in the lawsuit to try to scare people into giving the $50.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, he's wrong. He's wrong. It's much more.
Is that insider info that we're not privy to?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. But okay. I mean, he's and what I just explained, I just explained.
Basically, Jake wants to do damage, and he's going to do it as best he can.
Right. You know how when you're playing zombies, right? The first wave is super easy. Oh my! The second wave is a little bit harder, and then the third wave, and then eventually you get to the 5th or 6th or 7th wave, and it's okay, this is a problem. I feel this announcement of them moving against H3H3 is wave 1. I think there will be a wave 2, a wave 3, and a wave 4.
So you think they're going to amend it? Wow. They're going to add a lot of the other stuff in?
Oh, I think there's going to be a lot of news surrounding this lawsuit and moving in the next month. Yeah.
You think Ethan's got a little pack-a-punch machine ready to go for level 8 and 9? Anything you think he got in the shoot?
How does imagine Ethan in court, right? Ethan is an expert now on fair use, right? He went to court over it. He won an amazing fair use case. How does, if he's sitting in front of a jury or in front of a judge, however it gets determined, how is he going to convince a jury or a judge that he didn't know he was doing anything wrong? How is
when
that?
He admits, when he's admitting it all over the internet and shit like that, and implying.
I can't imagine what the argument would be. I actually have a question for you, Keem. You got into a ton of shit on Twitter. I think it was a few weeks ago. Whenever the Paul allegations came out, you made a Twitter video. You were saying, I don't know how the physics of this work. I don't know how the dick went in the mouth. You got a ton of shit for that, a ridiculous amount. I'd even say probably more than deserved. But I'm curious, have your thoughts on that changed at all?
Not one bit. Well, a lot of people, when they respond to what I say, they say, Keemstar said it is impossible to be sexually assaulted orally. I never said that. People are making up all these, I guess, imaginary scenarios to kind of argue against what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is in reference to the story that the Jake Paul victims told. The story that she tells, right? And I know everybody wants to jump to conclusions oh, well, she was scared because Jake might beat her up. He's a trained boxer. She doesn't say that. I'm going based on what she is saying and the story that she is telling. I'm saying I don't believe it. based on the story that she's telling.
Right. And it was didn't Tana say that they were, I mean, this is obviously, if you want to trust Tana Mojo, but she said that she was like with Jake the entire time. This was supposedly happening.
She was with Jake. They were photographed.
I believe those photos were from the day before, though.
People did say that they were from the day before, but then there was also like, it's confusing. I don't know. I haven't looked in the timeline too much, but I know there is some discrepancy on the timeline and how it would all work. And
okay. So are you saying that you didn't deny it outright? You like asked the question, but you don't really believe it, basically?
I wanted the internet to give me some feedback. I wanted them to kind of explain it to me, but nobody did. They just did the whole woke social justice warrior stuff. In fact, I had many girls respond to me saying, I would have just bit. I would have bit down on his penis.
But see, now, like, that's a hypothetical, right? So you're just saying, like, hypothetically, if she wanted to get out of it, she could have bit. Now,
I mean, is it possible that she didn't reveal every detail?
Oh, wait. So if you say,
it's
hypothetically,
possible, but like, if you're gonna come out and make a claim against someone of doing a serious crime, I mean, you should probably have that story 1,000% accurate. On what took place.
I agree.
Yeah, but if you're saying hypothetically she could have bit, right? Well, then hypothetically, couldn't have Jake like backhanded her or hurt her in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, of course.
He is a physically intimidating
person.
person.
Once we get into the layer of hypotheticals, like, a billion different things could happen.
Hypothetically, a meteor could have hit the bed and they both would have been dead at the same. You know what I mean? Like, I'm listening to her story. I'm listening how she told it, and it just doesn't.
So do you think she's like outright lying, or?
Yeah, something's not right with her story.
I'm not like heads or tails on this. I'm not going to give like a definitive yes or no if I believe it or not. My argument for you is like, if we don't go into the realm of hypotheticals, at the end of the day, there is like an understood power, not like a power imbalance in terms of like what everyone online uses it for. This is a guy who's an athlete, and this is a girl. So you could say like, oh, she didn't say she felt intimidated, but I believe that could be implied when you're talking about something like the size difference, the weight difference, and stuff like that. Girls do tend to freeze up.
I think the problem that we have on the internet is the discussion is always around, well, like maybe this did happen, maybe it didn't happen, maybe it happened a little different. But according to Jake's story, he's never had any sexual contact with her at all, right? And people don't talk about that. Like, people don't say, well, maybe they were never even in a bedroom alone together. Maybe that didn't even exist. People don't even begin to entertain that idea.
To be fair, the question you were asking was, like, how would the physics work if this hypothetical was true, right? So, like, you understand how some people took offense, right?
No, I think they're idiots. I think they're idiots. Every last one of them.
I agree with Keem. I think the discourse around this whole conversation is a waste of time on our end. I think that it would be better served in a police station. A lot of this is like bent directly off of like what she's saying and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with telling your story, but if it's spoken word testimony and you're online, people aren't going to always believe it. And unfortunately, it's not definitive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess her response would be that she wants there to be like less victims, I guess.
Augie RFC said, I'm a stupid boomer for making that Twitter video and asking questions. And he said, obviously, Jake could hurt her if she didn't, give him oral, right? And at no point does she say that she's scared. And Augie replies, well, that's implied that she was scared. Okay.
Well, she's implying like he ripped her head forward. Like that's a like.
No, she said that he was on top of her. He pulled out his penis and put it in her mouth and started fucking her head. That's her
she
story.
says that I swear to God, she said that like he pulled her head forward into it. So that's like that's force, right? Like you're pulling somebody into you. So at that point, like it is kind of aggressive already.
Well, I asked Augie this. I said, listen, Jake Paul's much bigger than you. You're a very skinny weakling guy. If Jake Paul grabbed you by your head and pulled your head towards his penis, are you going to open your mouth, right? These are just questions. And he deflected. He didn't answer the question. So I don't know. I mean, do you know?
It's just the reason I brought it up in the first place is because of the Twitter video.
Well, do you know how strong the human mouth is? Like the jaw, like it's one of the strongest like things. Like people can't really force your mouth open unless they're like plugging your nose or there's some type of violence, right? Like, if you want to keep your mouth closed. You gotta understand
it probably all happens so fast in some of these situations that people don't know how to react, right?
Well, she doesn't say that. For 1 second,
you're sitting forward and like, but if she doesn't think about it, like if someone's ripping your head forward in like one foul swoop or whatever, maybe you're not like understanding what's happening, and maybe you're just like, well, and then you're.
Didn't she say it was like less than a minute? until
she also said that he was fucking her mouth, all right? And he came in her mouth within 30 seconds. That's her story. Another thing that seems kind of hard to believe.
Unless Jake's on steroids.
It's probably not too far from the truth, right?
Keem, what did you think of the EDP 445 coverage?
I think it's probably, I hate that it's such a serious topic and there's nothing but memes, but I guess I will accept the memes. I mean, I'm playing a big part of the memes as well. But
you tweeted that shit out. You tweeted out like the Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. I guess the thing I like about the memes is that there's no real victim in this scenario, that it was a catfish that caught him. And that's what makes, I mean, it's just, this is the hilarious, it's probably one of the funniest thing that's ever happened online in sense of the scenario of him going there to just get a cupcake, the fist pump, like him admitting it 100%, him now on Facebook saying motherfuckers tried to end me, they can't end me. Like, bro, that's pretty brave coming from
EDP, another victim of cancel culture.
Dude, like his Facebook stunt where he's just for like 5 days he was probably sitting there rocking back and forth in his room, and then he realized, wait, the police aren't coming. He's like, you motherfuckers are sucking dick, I'm gonna urinate all over your like, oh god.
It doesn't feel real, especially considering the people who did the exposing.
Yeah, they're
like,
awful.
It doesn't seem like a real situation.
Dude, oh god.
I mean, okay, they are awful, but like you gotta admit that video was fucking funny.
It was funny,
like,
but it wasn't supposed to be funny. It was supposed to be a
ever.
sting operation.
Yeah, so
dude, they shouldn't have been running away going, fuck, we didn't get his license plate. Or what do you mean you're not gonna send police officers? Dude.
No, I mean,
nuclear take, like, I'm happy they lost all the fucking money. I'm glad.
Yeah,
if that guy's not going to jail,
no,
fuck
I mean,
them,
I was gonna bring that up because I didn't see anyone talking about it yet. Like, they made thousands and thousands of dollars of super chat money on YouTube, and when you lose your channel, they don't pay you that money. You're out of luck.
Yeah.
Dude, we were reacting to that. So much money came from Augie's audience of them like sending like, go after Augie and Bo Black's next, or go after Nick DiOrio. People were sending them like hundreds of dollars in our name and shit like that. And I'm so glad they're not going to see a fucking penny of it.
I do have some insider information on this EDP stuff, and he will get arrested. Like, it's definitely not done and over with.
You think he will?
Yeah, he's definitely getting arrested.
Oh, interesting. I saw some shit from like Omni. He was reading some article. It might have been from the Daily Beast. I don't remember from who, but they were talking about how they thought that the investigation may not be going well because of the way predator poachers had handled it. But if he is going away,
I saw one of those articles that a YouTuber was reading, and half the words were spelled wrong. So I wouldn't fucking. I think when Tipster was reading, it was like the police are not like I don't know. Something was spelled completely wrong in the sentence he was reading.
In all fairness, Tipster probably pronounced half the words wrong, so I don't know if that's too big of a difference.
Oh yeah, the police are no arresting.
The police are no arresting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I think there was one like local news video or something like that where a police officer was talking about it, but I don't know. I'm hoping something happens from this. I'm not holding my breath. Even though Keem's got the insider information, I'm so fucking pissed off the way all this went down. Little Gokinaru and Frank Hassel did not do a good job.
I think they missed one. Yeah, Gokinaru's still around.
I can't believe that, dude, they got banned on the same day. Isn't that a little poetic?
It's kind of fucking nuts. Yeah.
I'm trying to get Jake Paul on Drummler, and he just responded like right now, and he's like, it's so good because I was telling him that Conor McGregor was defending him. Yeah, guys, right before we filmed this podcast, absolute crazy stuff happened with YouTube boxing.
I saw that. You talking about the hat? Yeah.
Jake Paul went up to Mayweather, stole his hat. The Mayweather team, they like grabbed Jake, they had his arms down, and Mayweather got a punch in it, gave Jake a black eye. Bro, Logan Paul went in to defend Jake, and they wrapped up Logan Paul. Logan Paul got hit as well, and Logan Paul might have thrown a punch. I'm still reviewing the footage. It's going to be on Drummler. If you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check it out.
We were going to ask you to plug your stuff, but you kind of did that.
But I'm going to try to get Jake on for a little chat, and I got to say this, all right? I've been getting a lot of shit for being a Jake Paul ass kisser because I didn't believe the allegations against him, right?
Right.
And, people are starting to think that I'm a Jake Paul fan. And I gotta say, nobody on this planet is promoting boxing events, is promoting pay-per-views like Jake Paul. This is fucking madness.
You know what's crazy?
That guy
you're right.
That guy is, you can hate the fuck out of Jake Paul. You could think he's the most evilest, stupidest motherfucker in the world. You can think that he is a rapist and that the allegations against him are true. You could think all that stuff. but you can't say that kid doesn't know how to fucking promote. Like, this is insane. At one point today, like 5 different things were trending. Jake Paul was trending, Logan Paul was trending, McGregor, because he commented, was trending, Floyd Mayweather was trending, and Gotcha Hat was trending. And here's the other thing that Jake did. 30 minutes after he took his hat, got in that scuffle, got a black eye from Mayweather, he had a hat for sale with the hat says on it, "Got your hat." He's selling those hats 30 minutes after this happens. Bro, this kid is something else.
Dude, my timeline is so fucking cringe. People are like, you know what? I gotta say, Jake Paul did win a few fights, but it was really disappointing that he took Floyd Mayweather's hat today. That was really disrespectful. I'm like, dude, you remember when rappers used to fucking rip each other's chains off during concerts and shit? Just one up on the stage? Oh, yeah, true. That as well, but we don't want that to happen naturally.
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now, and everybody needs to fucking pay attention. Everyone listening to this podcast needs to pay attention. Okay. Do you remember YouTube.com in 2016 and 2017, 2018 and 2019 and early 2020? Drama was fun. There was diss tracks. People talk shit to each other. There was fucking fights. There was all kinds of nonsense going on, and it was fun drama. Guess what? 2020 till present day, 2021, the middle of 2021, it's nothing but Me Too, sexual assault, rapists. Bro, this is the most depressing cancel culture fucking nonsense. The fun is gone. This is supposed to be fucking entertainment, right? We're supposed to have fun watching these videos and being a part of this fucking community, and the fun is fucking gone. People say that drama has turned into YouTube boxing because it's the only fun thing left. Everything else is this person sexually assaulted me, or this person said something homophobic or racist a fucking decade ago. Let's cancel him. Let's cancel his sponsors. Like, this fucking community, this whole fucking thing is depressing bullshit. Where is the goddamn fun?
Telling you.
Dude, as the quartering one said, it's all rape now.
Stop complaining about rape, goddammit.
No. Right. Keem, you want to promote anything?
Follow Creator Cards on Twitter, coming out with some amazing Pokemon cards and stuff like that.
Are you actually doing that?
Yeah.
Like, it's like legit
I saw
going
that
down?
on my timeline. That looks sick.
I got a new video game in the works. New video game's going to come out. It's going to be a mobile game similar to Pokemon Go with a little spin on it. You're going to fucking love it. I got some big projects in the works, and I'm retiring never, so fuck you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Half Baked Podcast. If you're in the Patreon, you're going to get some extra episodes. Check it out right now. I'm Nick, that's Tom, Keemstar is here, and Lord Vega. Thank you guys so much for watching.
One last thing, I just got hired to do the press conference at the YouTuber versus TikToker boxing event. Make sure you tune into that. May 18th.
Wait,
congratulations.
Can we watch it, or is that still getting worked out?
It's going to be on a stream somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
All right, Tom.
All right, and we're gay.
Tom,
all right,
what the fuck is wrong with you? Why you keep saying that?